Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here. And today we have the brand new Tier 6 Premium Spanish Heavy Cruiser, the Canarias, in port to review for you guys today. As always, a massive shout out to the channel's Patreons for making this review possible. I am not a CC nor supported by Wargaming in any way, shape, or form. So all of the ships that get reviewed in this channel are either purchased by me using the ad revenue from the channel or by the donations from these generous Patreons. If you want to support the channel, supporting the channel on Patreon is the best place to do that. Alright guys, so the Canarias. This is the first ship from Spain in the game. Now this is a real steel ship. This ship really existed. And that's always a very cool thing when we see these real steel ships get added to the game. Now, she's got quite a few interesting quirks and features that we're going to go over here today. So first off, if you do want to pick up this ship, currently you have to acquire her in the Pillars of Gibraltar section for the, Gibraltar Pillars section of the Armory. So, right now, she's available for, I believe it's the same price as the Dino. Yeah, 70 of these Mediterranean tokens. These Mediterranean tokens can be acquired a couple of ways right now. The first way is by these bundles up here at the top. These are 2,500 dubs a piece. There's 4 currently available. So if you want to get the ship right away, you have to buy 3 of these for a grand total of 7,500 doubloons, and you will have a few Mediterranean tokens left over afterwards that you can either put toward the Dido, or you can also get a firepower premium container out of these sequential bundles too. But thankfully, the Canarias and the Dido are the first things you buy in the bundle, and the second things you buy are the firepower premium containers, so you can just get the ship and then leave the bundle alone. So they haven't mentioned, I don't think they've mentioned one way or another if these ships are going to be available for purchase afterwards. I haven't read anything about that yet. If someone does know, feel free to comment that down below. Now, the other way you can get the Mediterranean tokens is through a series of combat missions. Where are they at? Or is it personal challenges? Let's see. Nope. Where? Oh, yeah. I just blew through it. Yeah. So by doing the personal challenges tab, which is very similar to the clan battles missions, you can get these Mediterranean tokens. You can get up to 50 of them. So enough to get either the Dido or the Canarias, and you have to buy the others. So this is a Tier 6 premium ship. She is, well, I'll get to that in a moment about how she performs. But let's go ahead and go through her base stats and such. Now, I do have quite a bit of XP on this ship because we play this ship quite a bit during stream. So I have played this ship already, and I will talk about my experience with this ship in the voiceover review. But let's go ahead and get looking at her. So she has a 16mm bow, 16mm bow deck. Her midsection is 25mm. Her stern is also 16, with her stern bow being 16 as well. Middle deck is 38. And her Citadel is, quite surprisingly, not overly exposed like a lot of Tier 6 cruisers. It's fairly low in the waterline, and the Citadel itself is actually angled with a 38mm slope, and it's turtleback as well with a 51mm belt. So against other cruisers, you're fairly well protected, but against, of course, battleships, you're going to have a not great time there. And that 51mm of belt armor does have 25mm of torpedo protection on top of it as well, so you can get some trolley space armor effects there every now and then, but again, against big enough guns, you're going to have a bad time. So for survivability, she has 35,100 hit points, 10% torpedo damage reduction. Now her guns, her main feature, she has 203mm guns with a 12-second reload time. The turrets turn in 22.5 seconds base. She has a maximum dispersion of 144 meters, and a maximum range of 16.2 kilometers. Her AP has a maximum damage of 3,800, and it comes out the tubes at 814 meters a second. Might be noticing she doesn't have HE. Yeah, this is an AP only tier 6 cruiser. Now, her AP does get the improved AP pin angles, so you have that going for you there. But, we'll talk about that in a minute. But yes, she does have improved AP pin angles with 230mm guns at tier 6. So, quite a bit of oomph. 203mm at tier 6 is on the larger side, and with the improved AP pin angles. Again, we'll talk about that in a minute. Alright, secondary, she has 8 120mm guns in single deck mounts. They reload in 3.5 seconds. They have a maximum range of 5 kilometers. Maximum damage is 1700. 8% chance of causing a fire on the target. 20mm a pin. And they come out the tubes at 108 meters a second. She does not have torpedoes despite having her torpedo tubes modeled on the ship. The Canarias and realized had in the hull torpedo launchers, which Wargaming refuses to add into the game. Ships like the Nelson and even the Texas should have these torpedo tubes, but Wargaming has something against torpedoes that were mounted in the hull. Now, granted, they would have terrible firing angles, and they could maybe let you aim them a tiny bit, but still having them would be something. Alright, she has an A rating of 43. She has 20 single-mounted 20mm guns. She has 12 dual-mounted 37mm guns. And then the 8 120s are dual-purpose. And her AA does go out to 5.2 kilometers, which is decently longish range at tier 6. Maneuverability, the ship's maximum speed is 33 knots. She has a turning circle radius of 740 meters and a rotor shift time of 9.6 seconds. Concealment, she has a base concealment range of 11.2 kilometers. For her consumables, she gets engine boost, which is a 15% boost to your ship's speed. It's active for 180 seconds. Reloads in 90 seconds. You get 3 charges base. And she gets hydroacoustic search that goes out to 4 kilometers. Is active for 100 seconds. Reloads in 120 seconds. And you get 3 charges base. And of course, she does get the airstrike consumable for the depth charges. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and throw my commander and module build that I was running on this ship for the duration of the time I was playing her tonight and walk you through what I had on her. Alrighty, so for our commander build, I don't have any Spanish commanders because, well, no one does because this is the first ship from Spain. So you get Juan when you buy the ship. And with Juan, I had Last Stand On, along with Grease the Gears, Safety Circle, Heavy AP because more alpha damage, because why not? There's no downside to it. Adrenaline Rush because, of course, if you're taking damage, you want to get that extra boost out of your ship. Survivability Expert for more health. And then, of course, the Concealment Expert for a stealthier ship. And for the module build, I went with Main Armaments Mod 1 because we want to keep our main battery guns in the fight. Engine room protection because getting your engine knocked out, especially in a cruiser, especially at tier 6, is a death sentence. Then we went with main battery mod 2 to get the turret swinging around a little bit faster. And then steering gears mod 1 to have a slightly slipperier ship. So now that gives the ship 37,800 hit points. Main battery guns now rotate in 17 seconds. And then the ship's, well, with the speed flag on, the ship can now go 34.7 kilometers, knots. And the concealment is now down to 10 seconds. 10 seconds, 10 kilometers. Guys, my brain is apparently shutting down at this moment for whatever reason. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and throw up one of the matches that I had in the Canaries during the stream. And I'll talk to you guys about the ship there. Alright guys, voiceover Mountbatten here, and well, the Canaries, a ship that I was pretty excited for. It's a first of a new nation in the game, first of Spain's ships in the game. It's a real steel ship, it's a historical ship, and unfortunately, I do not think she's worth it. Now, is she worth it over the Dido? I don't know. We are going to find out when I get the Dido, and then I'll tell you my opinion between the two of them, but unfortunately, what they tried with the ship here just doesn't really seem to work that well. Now, my main gripe about the ship is that she doesn't have HE. Now, having improved AP pin angles is great. It really is, especially on 203mm guns at Tier 6. And you're going to see those guns go to work in this match that you should be watching in the background right now. And this match, this was the best match I had in the Canaries. And it should be obvious as to why. If you take a look at the teams right now, you should notice that I am in fact top tier. Which, yeah, sure, this ship when top tier is great. You have 203mm guns with improved AP pin angles, with a decent reload on them, on a ship that's decently maneuverable, and has a pretty darn good armor scheme for Tier 6. Again, you got that turtleback armor with that sloped Citadel, and with the rudder mod on, your ship can shift its rudder in 7.7 seconds, which is fairly quick, but quick enough by Tier 6 standards to slip around. But things really get bad when you get up tiered. Now, you guys that have watched my channel for a while, have watched my reviews for ships, you guys have always heard me say something along the lines of when you get double up tiered, it's really rough, especially if you're in something like a battleship or a CV, because DDs and cruisers can always fall back on their HE because their guns reload so much faster, and just by the nature of HE and throwing enough shells at the target, you'll set a fire, and fires will burn for a set amount no matter what. Meanwhile, battleships, of course, with their armor layouts, there's a big difference between a Tier 6 battleship's armor layout and a Tier 8 battleship's armor layout, and a Tier 6 performing well in a Tier 8 game. And of course the guns too, because battleships primarily fire AP, and AP, of course, when you're going up against higher tier ships, the armor's a lot better, so battleships struggle because of that. Now, the Canarias has that same problem, except she's a cruiser. Now, 203mm guns, even by Tier 8 standards, those are pretty darn good guns at Tier 8. For the caliber, absolutely. But you don't have any HE to throw at anything. Which means you've gone from facing Tier 6 and 5 cruisers, whose armor you can have pretty much your way with 230mm guns with improved AP pin angles, to Tier 8 cruisers that don't really either A, care because their armor's that much better, B, really care about you shooting at them because at Tier 8 the cruisers are a lot more nimble and agile, or C, really don't care because they can go bow into you with, well, not just the cruiser, but battleships can go bow into you, and now you're just completely screwed. And you're still in a Tier 6 cruiser with what was a decent armor scheme at Tier 6, is now one that you get shot a couple times by a Tier 8 battleship, and you're blown up now, and you don't have a heal or anything. So, yeah, this ship is terrible in Tier 8 games. You can't HE anything because you don't have HE. Now, ironically, I did set a fire in the Canaries tonight, but it was with the secondaries. Now, your secondaries getting a one-off fire, of course, that might help you here and there, but you can't really rely on that. And plus, by Tier 8 standards, the ship is fairly sluggish. I mean, it is a heavy cruiser, but again, Tier 8 heavy cruiser, extremely nimble compared to Tier 6 heavy cruisers. So you can try to slip and slide around, but now you're running into, again, Tier 8 battleships that overmatch your armor. I mean, 16mm bow and stern, a lot overmatches that. 25mm, of course, the midsection, a lot of Tier 8 battleships can easily overmatch that. So now you're in a very squishy cruiser at Tier 8. You can't start fires because you don't have HE. And now you're relegated to try and hit the superstructure of battleships to do damage, or if they are broadside enough where with your improved AP pin angles, you can get in there and, chunk their bow and stern for a pretty decent amount, but you're also stuck with a 16-kilometer maximum range. And again, you have AP, so you have to hit the part of the ships that you can pin, otherwise you're going to be getting a lot of shatters and non-pins on the battleships. Now, against cruisers, again, with 203mm guns with improved AP pin angles, if the cruisers do mess up and show you enough of their ship to where you can pin them with your improved AP pin angles, yeah, sure, it's going to hurt. It is going to hurt. The ship can still chunk other cruisers pretty decently well, but by Tier 8 standards, again, that's not going to happen too often. And here you are in a Tier 6 ship in a Tier 8 game, probably 60-70% of the time. So the ship really isn't worth it, because you have to either grind out the personal challenges to get it, or you have to go and spend 7,000 some odd doubloons to get this ship. There's much better tier 6 ships that you can get rather than the Canarias, and I am sad that the ship came out like this. A nation's first ship in the game should hopefully be one that's memorable and a pretty darn good ship. I hope in the future that either they buff the ship, or we get another Spanish ship, or when we get the other Spanish ships, they hopefully tune them up a little bit more. What could have made this ship really good is giving the ship a faster reload. Something maybe like 10 seconds to make up for the fact that when you get up tiered, you can't really do much to the enemy team. Or heck, just give her torpedoes with a good firing range, like maybe 10 kilometers or something like that, to make up for the absolutely terrible torpedo angles that you would get with this ship, or maybe even a hill to where you could be a little bit more ballsy with the ship, and when you do get up tiered, you can afford to either keep firing constantly, trying to find a place to pin the enemy ship with your AP, or anything that I mentioned. Any one of the things that I mentioned would have made this ship a lot better. Unfortunately, right now, again, I don't think she's worth it. So overall, I would give this ship a 5 out of 10, the pros being her 203mm guns, her improved AP pin angles, and her decent maneuverability and armor by tier 6 standards. And the cons being, of course, a massive one, being that she does not have any HE. And when you get up tiered to tier 8, the armor scheme that's decent at tier 10, at tier 6, is now just a huge liability, because you're going to get overmatched by everything, and now your armor that was good at tanking tier 6 cruiser shells and bouncing tier 6 battleship shells are just going to get munched on by tier 8 battleship shells and such. And plus, the ship does feel quite sluggish when you are in a tier 8 match. Well, actually, it feels quite sluggish in a tier 6 match too, but of course that isn't a huge deal there. But when you get up tier to tier 8, that is a massive deal, because you have to run for your lives in a tier 8 game. But yeah. Alright guys, that's it for me in the Canarias. Again, a ship that I wish would have been much better, but unfortunately is in this state. I'll see what I can do about getting the Dido as soon as I can, and I'll review her too, and let you know which one of the two I think you should spend your Mediterranean tokens on. Alright guys, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure to drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. And if you did enjoy the video too, make sure to check out the Patreon to support the channel as well. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Saturday and a wonderful weekend. I hope to catch you guys in the next one.